Well, hello, free people of the Rocky Mountain region. This is the eighth video in a series with Natalie Menton and myself regarding the 2023 Colorado property tax situation. In the seventh part, Natalie provided information on the Blue Book and how citizens can have input in the process. In this video, we will be talking about the website of the Colorado General Assembly and its value as a resource for learning about ballot initiatives. Well, Natalie, how are you today?
I'm doing very well. I'm glad to share information about this other part of the puzzle as to how things get on the ballot.
Wonderful. Yeah, the Colorado General Assembly website, the leg.Colorado.Gov is probably I'm on that daily during the legislative session, as many people are in the Liberty community. But I don't really get onto it too much outside of that legislative session. So a lot of people probably don't know what a valuable resource it is when it comes to our initiatives in the upcoming November ballot.
Yeah, besides interim committees, the whole citizen initiative and legislative referred matters are found in large part on here. And I'm really glad that you're going to explain a little more and show some people the breadcrumbs on how to get these different parts.
Well, perfect. So the first step, as we said, is leg.Colorado.Gov, the General Assembly's website, Colorado Legislature. Lots of great information, as we said, committee hearings, bill information, a pretty widely traveled website. But really, what we're going to focus on today is this initiatives. So on the top menu here, as initiatives, that's really what we're going to be focusing on. You can click in on any of these different options, or you can just click in on initiatives yourself or itself right there. So initiative and Blue Book. I'm going to read some of this here. The process for placing a statewide initiative on the ballot is governed by the Colorado Constitution and state law. The Secretary of State and Legislative Council have adopted rules to implement certain provisions of the Constitution and state law. And the Colorado Supreme Court has decided cases relating to the initiative process that interpret the Constitution and state law. So here on this website, you have a few different tabs that you can click into, some other pages. Initiatives filed, the draft ballot analyses, ballot information booklet, which is the Blue Book, as we explored in the previous video, and watch and listen for review and comment hearings, which is another valuable resource that maybe a lot of people don't know about. So let's go ahead and click in on the top section here, initiatives filed, the first little button. So loads up a new web page here. The links below provide access to initiatives filed with the Legislative Council staff, including the original language, the review and comment memo prepared by the Legislative Council staff and the Office of Legislative Legal Services, and the current status of the initiative. Live broadcasts and recordings of the meetings are available at this watch and listen page right there. So once the measure is submitted to the title board, information about its status, schedule, and text is also available on the Secretary of State's website. So a place you can click into to get some more information there specifically related to the title board. But what's really interesting is to look here and see here we are in this general election cycle for 2023 and 2024, and all of these measures, initiatives that have been filed so far, 76 of them. Pretty wild. Now, of course, we know that not all of these are going to end up on the ballot. Some of them will be prevented from doing so by the title board. Maybe they don't fit or they don't make sense. Other ones will not be able to get enough signatures. There's the whole process they have to go through. So obviously not all 76 of these will be on your ballot that you have to be concerned about, but it's a very interesting resource to see what people are doing out there. Whether these are lobbyists, out-of-state special interests, maybe liberty activists, people who are getting involved in the process to get something on the ballot. Really good resource for that.
Yeah, and it's important. One thing to point out too, real quick, with the 76 of these, the ballot process itself is really a 2-year period. And so you'll note there on that election year that some may be for they'll be passed now, but the 2023 year, and some will be 2024. So that's really splitting it out over kind of a 2-year period. And as you mentioned, a lot of these won't be on the ballot anyway, in large part because getting something on the ballot for the citizens is a very expensive and labor intensive process. So when legislature said, like politicians say, oh, it's so easy to get something on the ballot, that's actually not true. Anyway, I'll let you continue, but I thought I would just jump in and mention about that 2-year cycle.
Well, I think this page is very important for people who want to do some research, maybe find some background about some of the players in Colorado's political scene. Who are some of the people pushing raw milk distribution, for example, or eligibility for parole? Are these all good guys? Are there some bad guys mixed in here in the initiatives they're pushing? Who are these people behind these initiatives? Could be a great place to find allies and also see who's making moves behind the scenes to change our state laws. So that's the initiative files tab. Let's go back to the previous page.
Yeah, and I was just going to say the other thing that's really important as a big overarching picture is this is the very first place that these initiatives will show up. And as I mentioned, you can also go to Secretary of State, but that's like stage 2. So this is really where the whole beginning of what eventually will become on the ballot. So it's a good place to for the history and everything else. Go ahead, keep
And
going.
for people, no, and
That's
for people who want to who want to file an initiative or at least understand the process, I know a lot of my libertarian friends were very excited to try and get something on the ballot. It's a very expensive and intensive process, but if you want to know how to do it, this is a great resource as well. So if you click into this page, you can see on the right how to file initiatives. And so this is a really good one-stop shop for this resource here. But for this purpose of this video, let's go ahead and move on to the second button here. So the Colorado Constitution requires the Legislative Council staff to prepare a ballot information booklet, that's our blue book, prior to each election in which a statewide issue will appear on the ballot, which involves writing and distributing for public comment several drafts of an analysis for each statewide ballot measure. So, of course, that's Natalie, that's what you were talking about in the previous video, how individuals can get involved in that process. And a lot of that starts right here with this website.
yes.
So click into draft ballot analyses, ballot analysis drafts and deadlines. So the analysis must include a summary of the measure, the major arguments both for and against the measure, and a brief fiscal assessment of the measure. So this is all going to be in the blue book, as we discussed. The analysis may also include any other information that will help voters understand the purpose and effect of a measure. Any person may file written comments for Legislative Council staff consideration during the preparation of the analysis. The following links provide the Legislative Council staff drafts, staff contacts, and deadlines for each ballot analysis. So Natalie, as you mentioned previously, this is a great resource right here, this little button, subscribe to ballot analysis mailing lists. So it's going to take us to a different website here. This mailing list is great. I've signed up for several of these myself, some of the different newsletters that the Legislative Council staff sends out. So you just put your information in there. If you're curious about greenhouse gas emission reports, demographic notes, economic and revenue quarterly forecasts, Legislative Council staff newsletter, I really definitely recommend that one. They send out some great background and research that they've done, some reports, if you will, on different issues related to Colorado's political system. And then for this purpose, we're really talking about this Blue Book process and this 2023 ballot. So keep me informed about the 2023 ballot analyses. You can click in on the two measures that will be on the ballot as of right now. Right here, Proposition HH, reduce property taxes and retain state revenue, and Proposition II, retain nicotine tax revenue in excess of Blue Book estimate. So click into those. You can subscribe right there. Let's
And
go ahead and back it.
what's nice is once you get on that, they will then check each year with you if there are ballot issues. So it's really a one-time process and it's not spam level, but to be able to just get that into your mailbox and be on top of what's coming up on a ballot, really, really helpful.
So we backed out of that sign up page right there. And as you can see, here's that draft ballot analyses. Let's go ahead and take a look at Proposition HH, definitely the most controversial and biggest priority for liberty activists to defeat this year. So you click right into it. We saw this previously on the Blue Book video, but here's actually how you can see this for yourself. So showing you the dates for that first, second draft and this upcoming third draft. We're recording this video at the beginning of August, so that third draft should be coming out sometime soon. You can actually go in and read both of those drafts initially. So the first draft of that ballot analysis, what's going to be on the Blue Book, and the second draft as it currently sits, that's the one you'd be making edits on to send back to Legislative Council staff with suggestions and comments about what needs to be changed, as we saw in that previous video that Natalie made. So let's go ahead and back out of that here. Proposition II, of course, as well, is going to be very similar information. So that's on that ballot analysis drafts and deadlines. Go ahead and close that back out here. And then we have the section on the Blue Book itself, and all Blue Books really since 1954. The ballot information booklet, or Blue Book, is distributed a month prior to the election. The purpose of the booklet is to provide voters with the text, title, and a fair and impartial analysis of each initiated or referred constitutional amendment, law, or question on the ballot. You gotta love that, don't you, there, Natalie? A fair and impartial analysis.
Yeah, especially since we covered in the last video that voters had much more content control before a referred measure, which took away our ability to do that. So yeah, and we have disagreements on the language. So it's a good process to become involved in to ensure the ballot issue is transparent as possible, indicating all those impacts, including maybe taking our taxpayers' Bill of Rights, because we all want to stop that.
So let's go ahead and click into this ballot information booklet, the Blue Book page. So as we see a little description here at the top, so the Blue Book will be posted online in mid-September and sent to registered voter households in early October. So you can go back, look at the Blue Books from all the way from 1954 till now. Really a great resource to see what was on the ballot, how it was presented to voters. And also, if you're looking to get involved to support or defeat future ballot initiatives, looking at that language that was in the Blue Book and seeing if that initiative now passed or failed during that election cycle, and really being able to dig down and say, hey, well, how did they frame this argument to the voters? Did this have an impact in terms of this initiative passing or failing?
I think being able to go, especially look back at what was predicted, the forecast, how things can change, actually is a good guide as to how much you should trust forecasting in current ballot issues when you see potentially could cost you a lot more than the government might be saying. Because it really is. I mean, it's forecasting. It's how it works.
That's a great point. It would be interesting to see somebody go back and audit the Blue Books to see how accurate the forecasts were over time.
Well, I can tell you for old reference, man, referendum C, which promised to do very little damage, it really has done a tremendous amount that was not presented. And there was no way that they could have really probably done that. But just to be skeptical and cynical and try to fact check as much as you can, and then add in the grain of salt and knowing forecasting is not a science. Just expect that it may cost you the most. It's a good rule of thumb.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, definitely. Very interesting and very good rule of thumb to think, hey, whatever they're saying, it could be a lot worse.
Mhm.
Most
Yes.
likely will be a lot worse.
Yeah. And when you vote like on Prop HH, giving away the right to consent pretty much forever. So when you make one decision, you're impacting not only your life, but the next generation that's out there and the taxation level on them. So
So let's back out of that. So now we're back to this initiatives and Blue Book tab as we clicked in before. This is all to be found on that one little menu right here at the top. The last part on this website or web page here is the audio of review and comment hearings available through the General Assembly's Watch and Listen page. So if you click into this, this is going to take you to where all these committee hearings are recorded, testimony, really great resource to go through those archives and get some background on nearly everything that happens in the state legislature during these committee hearings. So for the purpose of review and comment hearings, you can click into recordings, the ones that have previously been done. Up here, they're just going to give you some different options on these categories here. So all the different committee hearings that goes on at the state capitol, lots of videos and audio there. Of course, we're interested in these review and comment hearings right here. So we can actually see here if you can, the different initiatives that have been heard and the discussion around them during these review and comment hearings.
that is very helpful with being able to, there's a printed document within all of this where these legislative staff members are really asking some of the basic questions that I think average voters, it's very informative to them to hear that audio and get that, what exactly is this part doing? And is this what you meant by this? It's a lot of information that helps to gauge, besides the regular campaign literature, these subjects as discussions really boil it down. It's very helpful.
Right. Right. If you want to understand the intent behind these measures, some of
Yeah.
these discussions, I imagine, are pretty invaluable to see how are they explaining it to this legislative council staff? How are they explaining what they're trying to accomplish by getting it on the ballot? So this is a great resource for that. So perfect. You can exit out of that and you're back on this page, but really want to just emphasize what a great resource on this website is. Of course, the leg.Colorado.Gov, clicking in on initiatives and having all this information at your fingertips, not just this year, but every year to really see what's going on and what's going to be on your ballot.
Yep, you got the history of election results, online database. So you've got the history, what's coming up, your sneak preview. We've talked about the Blue Book, how you get engaged on that, and a lot of things. It's actually a lot of initiatives that come back during certain periods of time. And this is history right here.
Awesome. So if you have any questions, leave it in the comments below, whether you're on YouTube or on the website. Happy to address those for you in a future video. But right now, the most important thing to remember is, hey, you have some impact. You have a voice in this Blue Book process, and this website is a great resource for you to have that voice.
And if you really, really want to get excited, you can, and you've got enough grassroots activists, you can do that statewide initiative on some subject that promotes liberty and freedom, retaining our rights, regaining our rights. And this is the door and the key right here.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you, Natalie. This is a nice presentation to talk to you with about, and then we'll talk to you next time.
Sounds good.
All right. Take care.
Thanks.